Folks, I'm at Bass Boot Camp and it is absolutely amazing. So we're trying a live thing here, guys. I want to just jump right in here, everybody. I'm sitting here with Mr. Marcus Miller himself, who has done a wonderful class on, interestingly, business and music. And, we're all bass players. All these folks are in courses, they're in classes, they're working hard on becoming better. They're, learning their theory and what have you. And we'll see if we can get some questions from them, maybe. But one question that I have on my mind, can you tell a little bit about the value of learning theory? Is that something you've ever done? Is it something you think about?
Yeah, my father is a he was a piano player, organist. So I learned theory very early on. And then I started learning theory in school at 10 years old, and I learned it all the way. I went to a music high school, majored in music. So I was playing funk and jazz outside of school, and I was studying music in the classical way in school. So I had both disciplines happening at the same time.
What do you tell to people who say, well, theory kind of takes the magic out of making music?
It does when you first start learning theory. It's like I know a couple of saxophonists who just played the blues, right? And then they discovered chord changes and how to navigate chord changes. And for the first year, they were struggling trying to incorporate this new information that they had with something that they've been doing all their life. So of course it's going to tighten you up. But once you get over that, then you're the ultimate because you've got the feeling and you've got the information also.
Yes. Do we have some questions in the chat thread? Just throw them our way. You can't see the participants. It's one of those where you can only see my team. So thank you for that. So you would encourage learning theory?
Yeah, the only people who don't learn theory are the people who don't have the opportunity to learn theory. You're a fool if it's sitting in front of you and you turn it down. Like George Benson, he doesn't read music that well. Russ Montgomery didn't read music, but it's not because somebody offered to show it to them and they refused it. They just came up in an environment where it wasn't available. So that's dumb.
Thank you for that. You said something today in the presentation about there being our mother tongue and our first language, and then you said the second language is where it gets interesting. Can you expand on that a little more?
Yeah, I think for human beings up to maybe the age of 7, you can learn your language very easily. So the languages that you learn up to age 7, it doesn't have to be one language. It could be two. Your parent speaks, your mom speaks one language and your dad speaks another. Once you get to a certain age, that intuitive learning goes away. And then you have to learn with a different part of your mind. You have to start learning vocabulary. You have to start learning verbs and nouns and all the kind of technical aspects of language. And music is exactly the same way, although the ages are different. In other words, you can learn how to play funk music authentically, probably up to about 15 to 16 years old, you know. But if you're trying to learn like funk or you're trying to learn jazz, the rhythm and the feeling of it, when you're 20 or 21, you're always going to speak with an accent. You know what I mean? Because you're learning with a different part of your brain. So, um, but if you do put in the time to learn new styles of music, you can do it at a later age. You just have to really be serious about it and respect it. A lot of musicians don't respect genres of music that aren't difficult to perform technically. Oh, I can play reggae. No, you can't. I hear that you think you can because it's not a lot of notes, but you sound horrible playing reggae. You sound horrible playing these styles of music that really need respect. You got to sit there, you got to figure out where in the beat they put their notes. You got to figure out what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. This genre of music has 5 or 6 different feelings that are very important. You got to be serious about it. But if you just think, oh, I'm just going to listen to a couple of salsa records or a couple of, reggae records or a couple of country records and I'll have it, then you're disrespecting the music and it'll be really clear when people hear you play.
We have a lot of folks that are starting out on a later age in time, and they would, they have a genuine love for learning certain styles. How would you recommend they can sort of, to use your analogy, to get rid of that accent or get as close as possible?
Yeah, to get as close as possible, listen to the rhythm of the music, watch people dance to the music, okay? Because a lot of styles of music don't exist by themselves. There's a there's a human movement that's connected to it. Like when I went to Istanbul, Turkey, we were playing in 9/8, and I'm counting it up. So I'm going, oh, here you guys, here we go, guys. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. And they said, hold it, no, man, we can't do it. I said, why not? I'm counting nine. I'm just counting three threes. They go, no, no, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. And I said, what's the difference? And then the lady who was at the rehearsal said, no, just. And when I saw her dance, I said, question answered. I understand, because it's not just existing like math. There's a feeling to it. So if you want, you're starting at a later age, you have an advantage because you have analytical skills, man. You can say, okay, look at these people when they dance to Bob Marley. There's a lot of weed involved. I'm probably gonna need to play behind the beat a little bit more. You know what I mean? All these cultural things that you should study if you're serious about it.
But you're not saying it's impossible. If you're willing and you're respecting the music, then you just have to immerse yourself, right?
No, it's not impossible at all. And also, we know people who speak English with accents, and it's really cute. It's really cool. And sometimes you like that better than the regular, standard American accent. So it's just that, you can tell when somebody has respected English and really put their time in, even if they're speaking with an accent. Everything's appropriate, everything is done with respect. That's really important.
I love that analogy, and thanks for that. Another thing you said is that when you learn, intuition is an important part. So now you've talked a bit about the mental aspects of actively learning. What about this intuitive part? How does one practice that?
Well, that's the whole point. You don't practice intuition, but you do practice honoring your intuition. You are very fortunate if you're playing like a rhythmic music and you grew up in a household where people danced, right? Because you don't have to figure it out. It's there. You're probably dancing yourself, imitating your parents at 3 years old, 4 years old. So there's nothing that you have to do to connect to the rhythm. Other people don't grow up in households like that. It's different culture, more melodic, or more harmonic. So when they find themselves in rhythmic situations, cats, from Texas, are like, come on, let's go, and somebody else from somewhere else is going, man, what makes it so easy for you? So I think, uh, but if you have a melodic background, okay, that's your forte. You're gonna know how to make some beautiful melodies that somebody who's just from a rhythmic culture might have difficulty doing. So all of our challenge is to round ourselves out. If you got a rhythmic challenge, pay attention to it. You got a melodic challenge, pay attention to it. If you don't know theory, let go of your insecurities, because the reason people don't learn theory is because they don't want to take a backseat to the kids who already know theory. That they're talented. I've been playing all my life. I don't want to have to learn no music, no theory. If you just humble yourself for 6 months, especially if you play bass,
Couldn't agree more. Yeah,
just come on,
as
man.
a bass player, you don't need to know everything. Like I know you're a composer too, so there are a lot of other things come in handy as well. But as a bass player, you need to know roots, chords, modes, extensions, alterations, and some symmetric scales, and you're good, right?
Especially for most styles of music, you can get by. Just don't play a regular fifth when it's a flat fifth chord. That drives other people crazy. You know what I mean? But you learn enough, man, and just keep making music and keep growing. Shoot, I'm still learning stuff about theory. I just heard Chick Corea play a scale yesterday on YouTube. What the? What? Pull out my bass and try to get it together.
Well, I don't want to keep it too much. I can't thank you enough for talking to us and inspiring us continuously with your music and all you've done. They can see you, you can't see them, but
All right, good luck. You got a plane to catch.
yeah, right on. And practice your theory, guys. Thank you so much, Marcus.